Besides sending the police, you might want to send an ambulance or a hearse.
Hello, Billy Ho here, coming at you with the DraftKings show. And I am joined once again by the DFS chef, and that is his name on Twitter, his Twitter handle. He is a bona fide chef. And we are going to talk some DraftKings pricing for the 2023 Valero Texas Open. How are you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing good. Unfortunately, we missed last week, but we had
Yeah,
two events. We had two
scheduling
events we had last
conflicts.
week, and I think I put the stat model in for both events for free last week in the Discord. So hopefully it helped out the guys.
Well, the Corrales, I thought I didn't. I had two 6 of 6. I made two lineups for shits and giggles. Did because I did the research on it, and they both got 6 of 6. I had like Ben Martin and Detry in both of them, and and then that neither one of them cashed. It was 27% 6 of 6s in the contest I was in.
Yep.
Literally, it was a 595 people or something like that, and 100 I forget how many, well over 100 6 of 6s. I said, if you don't have, and I looked at Matt Wallace and it said he had virtually no ownership and he had just coming off playing good. I said, maybe he's finally found it after all these years. And
Yep.
he did. But anyway, that's that. And I got the Rory Scotty matchup, but it wasn't the one I wanted. I had Rory and Scotty in a bunch of lineups together, but really after I looked at it, that's the one flaw in the scoring system for DraftKings on match play is you get two guys to the final four, and they're on opposite sides like Rory and Scotty were. Well, they both lost. Well, one of them has to win the consolation match. So one of them's going to get 5 points for a match won. So Cam Young wins his match and he gets 5 points for that win. They both end up with the same amount of points, not counting what they scored on the golf course because Rory and Scotty were scoring left and right, winning holes left and right. They each won like 6 holes or something like that. It was ridiculous, but I just thought, well, they don't do position points for this tournament because it's kind of hard to do. They do show positions like this guy had enough points where he finished 24th, even though he didn't make it out of his group or whatever. I don't know how they do that, but it just seems to me when it gets down to the final four, the runner up dude kind of gets screwed, and whoever wins the consolation match, because you get a guy in the final four, that's what you want. You're gravy because you're guaranteed 36 holes. So anyway, this is Valero Texas Open though, and we things are big in Texas. Congrats to I believe it's one of our dude Friggity Frack's son won our. We're done. The NCAA tournament's over. Nobody scores any more points. That's the what damnedest thing I've ever seen is the full weekend before the final four and all 47 or however many brackets we had in my contest. Nobody has anybody in the final four. Not one person picked one final four team. Not one. Unless somebody randomly got UConn somewhere. I don't know. But all the max points match all the total points. So it's over. Anyway, congrats to him. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to share the screen and we're going to get after some pricing. All right. Now, this is Dave's fully up to date, fully operational battle station, his stat model. It's got a whole shit ton of stuff in it. And I know I don't go over this enough, but he's got just rankings from everything from approach off the tee, tee to green, around the green, putting, three putt, distance, accuracy, good drives, going for the green. I mean, there's just everything you want. Uh, Still doing it for a buck a week, I suppose, right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
All right. And just hit him up, the DFS chef. on Twitter, and he will set you up with everything you need to know on that. And I am going to slide over here to the pricing and have Dave go ahead and start us off in the 10K, 9K and up, since there's only Ryan Fox on up, and just give us a brief statistical, montage, and then get us into the players.
Yeah, definitely. Again, each and every week approach is going to come into play. Specifically, if you want to break it down by ranges, I strokes gained approach overall, but if you want like a secondary subcategory under approach, I'm looking at like long iron play this week, which is going to be like 150 to 175, 175 to 200. Got strokes gained off the tee with good drive percentage mixed in there. You'll see that historically you don't have to be a long hitter to win this thing, and a lot of shots are going to be laying up because these par fives are a little on the longer side. You guys might go for it in two, but a lot of guys will lay up and just be happy with birdie. So it doesn't really matter on your length at this course, in my opinion. Also, par five scoring will be huge, just like every week. That's where you're going to get the majority of your scoring is on the par fives. Around the green here is going to be very crucial because these greens are somewhat hard to hit. You're going to have some roll off because you have some tiered greens here, undulating greens. So you're going to see roll off on these greens, and around the green will come into play. Good amount of bunkers. Not the most bunkers that we see on tour, but there are a good amount of bunkers. So I do have sand save percentage as well as some scrambling mixed in there, bogey avoidance. Actually, I didn't put scrambling in there because I have around the green, but bogey avoidance will be huge. The scoring here is typically not the lowest you're going to see out there. So that's what I'm looking at this week. And then we get into the golfers. I mean, you see Tyrrell Hatton ranking out second in the model. He does not have course history here in the last 5 years. I don't know. I didn't go back further to see if he has played this course,
No,
which you can easily look at, especially if you have access to Rick's, because he goes all the way back to 2012.
well,
So
just real quick, because I did that myself. This
yeah,
is the golf betting systems. They go back to 2011, and
okay,
he's got nothing.
yeah. And from what I was reading, from one article I read, is that that course history here is somewhat important, a
Mhm.
little more important here than some other courses. So that's got me a little, suspect on whether or not to play Hatton. Hideki still not showing me that I want to click his name, and he's over 10K. That's that like Tyler Tamboline rule usually.
Yeah,
Anytime Hideki's over 10, you fade him. Ricky obviously has been playing some great golf recently. Um, Missed the cut here last year, but previous 2 years, back to back 17th place finishes. So Ricky is, I think, someone that I'm probably leaning to more this week if I'm going over, at 10K plus guys. Corey Connors, once again, we always talk about Corey Connors. He's one of the best ball strikers on tour, obviously. The around the green and putting is where you're going to see, that's his downfall. But he has won here. And a matter of fact, I think when I was watching Rick's preview video, I think he actually won when he Monday qualified here back in
yep.
2019, which is
He's,
something that you don't see that often.
no, he
Um,
certainly did.
I do think that Corey Connors, if you're playing cash games, I do think Corey Connors is a safe cash play because he does have a high floor. It's the ceiling, like we always mention each and every week. He usually depends on his finishing position for his points. So in GPPs, probably a fade, but if you're playing cash, I do think he's a safe cash game play. And then we dip down into the nines, and honestly think that this is probably where I'm going to start most of my lineups this week because I honestly think that you can fade every single one of those guys that's 10K plus.
Yeah,
And when we look in the 9K range, uh, the three guys that pop out to me right away, Siwoo is first and foremost that pops out to me. He makes his home in Texas now, and if I'm not mistaken, he makes his home right outside of Dallas. So Siwoo's kind of got home ties here. Matt Kuchar, you can see his course history here is elite. Played really, really well last week. You
yeah,
know,
he did.
old man Cooch. I mean, that bracket that he was in, that group that he was in, was a very tough group. With
He beat the
Hovland,
brakes off. Siwoo
yeah,
Kim was 2-0, and he went into the third day and beat the crap out of him. Man, I
yeah.
could not believe it. He was,
So I mean, I'm gearing that, and you can see he's ranking out first in my model. Um,
yeah.
and
Is it
that's
Cooch week?
yeah, I mean, that's where I'm probably looking at. I just mentioned course history here is important. So I honestly am going to probably start most of my builds going Cooch and Siwoo. And if I add a third, if I add a third 9K guy into the you know lineup this week, I'm probably gearing up toward Chris Kirk.
Yeah.
His history here is so, but you can see he's got 2 top 10 finishes here in the
Mhm.
last 5 years. So Kirk would probably be that third guy that I'm going to put into lineups, and that's probably where I'm going to focus at this week mainly.
Yeah, that's I'm right there with you, man. The Siwoo actually did a just before we got on here, did a Yahoo show for the first time. And I because we got guys that play a lot of Yahoo in the Discord and whatnot. So I wanted to start getting some more content out there. But it translates over at pricing, you can find value, and there's definitely some differences in lineup construction and pricing, but players are still players. And the first guy that I noticed, I think, was Siwoo Kim. Uh, and I also translate over to guys that play well at the Masters at this course. I treat the course history the same because Masters is like the most course history uh, tournament of the year because they set it up the exact same way Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every year. So that's like you can lock that in course history. Well, this place is kind of the same. They do like the this has been the precursor. I think the Houston Open was a few years back, but they kind of set this course up. It has the undulating greens, kind of like Augusta does. The surfaces are different. They run different speeds, but you still have to be on point with your approach shots, and you have to be accurate with your driver. Siwoo's pretty accurate with his driver, and he's got obviously some good history here. He's got good history at the Masters. So, and I do like the fact that he didn't make it out of group play because wasn't sucked into playing, more golf than he should have, which is where I bring in Corey Connors. Is he had that win in 2019, then he backed it up with a top 15. Well, he had 35th last year, but he finished third at match play the week before. So he played 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds of golf that week. So, maybe he was a little bit golfed out. You never know. So I have no problem starting. I might look into Ricky a little bit because I feel like Ricky is 17th place Ricky and not 102 Ricky right now. I mean, he's been playing so well. I mean, he beat Rom day one of the match play, which was pretty impressive. But he's Ricky's Ricky's gearing up. I feel like, and of course, this is last chance ditch effort, Ricky, too, because he has to win this golf tournament to get into the Masters, which I said in the previous show, he's going to miss one Masters. The guy's been playing phenomenal golf, good golf again for the first time in a long time. He'll put the work in. He'll be back in the top 50 next year, and he'll be in the Masters. So if he doesn't play the Masters, then that's one less uh, person that the announcers will be jerking off all weekend next to Spieth and whoever else is in there. But dipping down in here a little bit more is, like I said, I'm on Siwoo. I'm with you on Kirk. We had the same guys. Kuchar, uh, Cooch has a good Masters record back in the day, even though he's missed the last 2 cuts at Masters. But he's got such a good record here, and he was, like I said, he was awesome in he should have been 3-0 in group play, but he missed a short putt on the last hole to chop and went 2-0-1 or something like that. But anyway, Ryan Fox might be interesting, but he's a new shooter to this course. JJ Spawn, I got no problem with because he looked like he was going to mow everybody down last week, and he's got the ball striking in order. I don't see why he won't be right back in the mix. Ben Griffin is almost seems like plug and play anywhere. The guy, came out and played pretty well at match play and almost made it through. And he makes every cut just about, no history here, but he just has that like even all around game to where he can be good at any golf course. It feels like to me. So I did dig Ben Griffin. Matt Wallace is 8,500. I mentioned on the Yahoo show, he's $21 on Yahoo after winning last week. So that I said that was a slam dunk. Um, Getting down here a little bit more, Shank. He's still got baby swag going. He's had a week off since he got a really unfortunate break on the 18th hole. He probably should have won that Valspar, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. But he's been playing some good golf, and he does have a seventh in back in the day. So, but that's a little risky at 8,200. It's right in that middle price range. Then you got some other guys here that are, somewhat interesting down here. The Nikolai second place at the Corrales, but I'm not sure. You got some AK guys here you probably want to talk about, and then take us on into 7K.
Yeah, I mean we're on the same page once again in this 8K range as well. Spawn, obviously the defending champion here. The one thing that does concern me a little bit with Kuchar and Spawn is they didn't play a ton of golf last week with the match play, but they still played, it's a decent amount of matches, so Kuchar more than Spawn. Kuchar could be feeling the effects of a little bit of, physical / mental,
Yeah.
draining. But
Did Kuchar, he lost, but he lost the first right out of knockout though, didn't he? Saturday
yeah,
morning.
yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't,
that's all right.
I don't think it'll affect them. But yeah, I'm with you with Ben Griffin, Matt Wallace, especially like you mentioned on Yahoo, at only 21. Thomas Detry, I think is even though he doesn't have course history here, I think Detry is someone that you can look at. And you already mentioned Nikolai Hojgaard with that second place finish at Corrales. I had a decent amount of Hojgaard last week at Corrales, so I mean, I'll roll him once again, and then dipping down to the sevens. I got to think that Brendan Todd is going to have higher ownership than Hojgaard, so Hojgaard could be that perfect leverage play
Mm-hmm.
off of Brendan Todd. But this is like a Brendan Todd kind of course, as you can see. Eighth, I think it was T8 last year. He's ranking third in my model. And that's because he's one of the best on tour when we talk good drive percentage. He's got that short game. He knows where to place his ball off the tee. And Rye probably could be good leverage off of Brendan Todd, because I got to think Todd's going to have higher ownership than Hojgaard and Rye, so both of those guys could be leverage off of maybe what I'm thinking is probably going to be a chalky Brendan Todd. Bo Hostler, he does have that fourth place finish here last year, and he's made the cut 4 straight years here. Someone that I might take a chance on, but it definitely would be more of a GPP play that I'm going to go to. As we go further down in the sevens, ball striking, Benny On, he obviously has been playing a lot better golf recently. So Benny On would be like someone I'm looking at going to. Even though Garrick Higo missed the cut here last year, it was his first time playing this course. So he's seen it. He's got a little bit of history here now,
Mm-hmm.
and he has been playing a lot better recently. So Garrick Higo is maybe someone I'm going to keep an eye on, see what his ownership is going to be coming in at. I don't know what I'm going to do with Lonto. Lonto doesn't seem like he's still not back yet from the injury. So
Well, I was going to say this is the first. I mean, nobody said anything about him. He withdrew from Genesis, and
yeah,
we haven't seen him since. So
exactly. So
that's
yeah,
been a month and a half, 6 weeks or something.
yeah, it's a little bit of a concern for me. I mean, when he's played here, he's done fairly well. I mean, you look at his finishes versus DK Price, it's not bad whatsoever. 7,200. If you can get
Yeah.
if you can get him on his average finish of 48th, that should pay off the salary. But he does concern me some. Ben Martin's probably someone that I'm going to go to over Lonto Griffin, but I got to think Ben Martin's probably going to have some good ownership, especially off that strong performance
Yeah,
last
I
week
think so too.
at Corrales. And then there's two guys that are probably underpriced this week, and Akshay's got to be one of them at 7K flat. I mean, he had, what was it? I think the second round where he shot 9 under
Oh
at
yeah,
at
fire.
Corrales. So, I mean, he kind of let us down a little bit over the weekend. He was coming in with a
Mhm.
good amount of steam, but Akshay is someone that I think should be up a little bit higher. And then MJ Doffy, he's been just quietly making a good amount of cuts. Doesn't have any history here, but at 7K flat, he's definitely someone that I'll take a shot at. I got
Sure.
to think because I got to think people are going to click on. They'll look at Charlie Hoffman and Kevin Streelman's course history here, and people are going to click on it. And I mean, I can understand maybe taking a chance on Streelman at 7K flat. I mean, Hoffman, well, they're about the same when we talk course history here. Streelman a little bit better. Obviously, Hoffman had back-to-back second place finishes, but
Yeah.
you look at their recent form, and I just can't do it. And even though they say, we always talk about Hoffman being good in Texas, I can't go to him. So
Yeah.
I'd rather go
Tough
to MJ
call.
Dolphy at 7K flat, and that's kind of where I'm at with the sevens.
Yeah, I agree with you on Hoffman. Uh, it would be a dart throw, but I treat it kind of like I thought of Kevin Kisner last week. The dude has not been playing the kind of golf that he normally is playing leading up to when he's so dangerous at match play. Charlie Hoffman would be the same, but Charlie Hoffman can't hit his ass with either hand right now. So it's kind of tough. The only saving grace that I noticed and look deep dive in Hoffman a little bit was his approach. Even though he's missing these cuts, he's still gaining like a stroke and a half on approach in a lot of these tournaments in 2 rounds. His driver, if his driver's wild, and of course we know his struggles putting, if because he could literally lose 5 or 6 strokes putting in 2 rounds easily. But all those guys you just talked about, I thought was funny because there's my first uh, build, my just original build when I do the Billy Ho. I put a lineup together and I went Siwoo Kim, Chris Kirk, Ben Griffin, Ben On, Brendan Todd, and then somebody we'll get into in just a few minutes who has my interest. But I just thought that was kind of funny because I'm like, you're sitting here naming off my first build here. Benny On, I think, is a better putter now, or at least as good as he was when he got seventh place here. And like you said, he's making cuts. The only cut he missed was that withdrawal from the wrist injury at API, and he actually was only 1 stroke off the cut line. So he aired on the side of caution and withdrew and then had a few weeks off and then comes back and makes the cut at Players. And then Valspar, which is a tougher course. And so he's got a little history here. So I would definitely put him in the 2019 bucket over the 2021 bucket. So I did like him. That was one of my first and you talked about Texas. Everybody, people mentioned Pat Desire, but I looked, and I was like, well, he's got the ninth place finish. I mean, I thought he had like a whole bunch of like really good finishes, so I had to go back over here and look. He's played this twice, and he's got a ninth and a missed cut. And I was like, well, I mean, he's done well at other Texas courses, so he does have kind of that Texas narrative. But I'll give you a Texas narrative guy here in just a second when we get down to it. Um, but I was dead on with you, Aaron Rye. The ball striking, the 29th last year, he's just accurate off the tee. He hits irons well, and he's his around the green game solid. Putnam went 3-0 last week in match play. He's got some made cuts here and some decent finishes. He went on a huge run there from the fall to the first of the year, and then he fell off the map for a few weeks, but he seems to be finding it again. So maybe he's worth it. Pendrith is an interesting cat. I full faded him. He didn't deserve to make the cut, I don't think. He did, however, play a good round of golf Friday and got in on the number. but then you saw what he did. He was almost dead last over the weekend. He's lost his driver, and that's his main weapon. So if he somehow can fix his driver, he'd be a great fit here because he can still putt a little bit. Maybe Bo Hostler way overpriced at 7,700. But this is if you're going to play Bo Hostler, you might as well fire him up here. I mean, and there's one other Texas tournament that he somehow top tens, every other year. Down here a little bit further, Sam Stevens was at third place at Corrales. I'm not really sure on his game, but they gave him a healthy price. I mean, he ought to be 6,700, but maybe he's got a 15th. He seems to be a coastal guy. I mean, Puerto Rico, but this ain't the coast, so I'm not really sure where we're at with him. Griot, no thanks. Patrick Rogers was a sucker bet last week. He missed the cut by a mile. Mullinax, we all keep hearing, and I actually had Trey Mullinax in the 2018 when he should have won, and he didn't. Pat Mayo says it every time. He did. He had this terrible chip out of a bunker toward the end of that, and cost me some money. Actually, I actually had some Mullinax then, but Eric Cole, he's got the good skill set. The man can putt, but getting down here, like you said, Lanto. I heard ribs along with back, so I'm not really sure. I can't let that fly. I'm definitely not on that. Tyler Duncan was a quiet 3 last week. He played pretty well, but I don't know. His history here sucks. Then you got guys like I said, Ben Martin. I'll ride him again. I've been playing him since. I don't think I had him in the players. I think I played him at Honda, and I played him at Valspar and Corrales. But he's just a steady Eddie kind of guy who won't make the big mistakes. Sometimes he won't score for you, like at Valspar. He didn't really score all that great. Ryan Palmer kind of has my interest because he's had some good history here, and he's had a few weeks off. He's a Texas guy. I don't know. He's not the club. This is not the club membership, though. I don't think. But I'm going to go on down here and get into some. We talked about Charlie Hoffman. Streelman, I don't know if I could. He's got great history here, but that dude is just like I said, Kevin Kidd. He hasn't been playing good at all. I mean, he's got the 27th of Valspar is the only time he sniffed anything since I last year sometime. Normally, I looked up his history. He normally has good form coming in, like in the West Coast swing. He's actually pretty good in top tens. He's got like top tens and 15s in like some of the majors in the last couple of years. But he's been really. I'm going to have a hard time getting to him. But I do like the Akshay call by you and Duffy. He's all right too. But down here, just to finish it off, Dylan Fratelli, Texas, hits the ball a long way, and he has good form here. Now he will miss his cuts, but when he pops, he does pop. He can get you a top 10. And he normally goes way under the radar. And so 6,800, I'm down with that. Lucas Glover, you can see his history here, solid. So, and he's made a couple of cuts recently. So he was my first thought on sub 7K. So I had Glover and Fratelli, and there's a few other guys down here that I did want to mention. This guy hasn't been playing very well at all, but he's got great history here. Is Troy Merritt. He certainly hasn't made a cut in quite a while, but he seems to like this golf course. Double R Norman, that dude hits it a long way. He's got no history here, but he's got a good skill set. Schwab, and there was a couple other guys that I checked off down here. I used your guy Kevin Tway last week, and he did okay. He didn't really get me where I wanted to go, but the 38th wasn't terrible for his price. I think he had a pretty reasonable price. But that's about all I had down here. I don't think I'm going to dip too deep. I think I'll play a little Fratelli. I might give Ben Taylor another chance in case he's got the wedding jitters. But other than that, I'll let you clean us up here, Dave.
Yeah, you already mentioned some of the guys sub 7K that I put down on my initial player pool when I was doing this. Even though his recent form has not been great, this is a Martin Laird course. As you can see, Martin Laird's course history here. Martin Laird excels at this course, so that's someone I'll take a chance on. The guy that actually has been starting to regain his game from years ago, and he actually has good course history here, including a win. And he had a good finish last week at Corrales with T16. Kevin Chappell is someone that I'll take a
Yeah.
chance. I'll take a chance on at 6,700 this week, and then a couple other quick names I'll rattle off sub 7K. Now these are obviously dart throws. You already mentioned Tway. That's someone I'll take a chance on. Tanner Goya. I might take a dart at one a share of them, and then my guy that I've mentioned the last few weeks getting no respect. I think he's made like 7 or 8 straight cuts on tour at only $6,200. Trevor Werbelow. I'll keep
Yes,
riding him.
sir.
If you're going to keep pricing him at 6,200 for a guy that's made as many cuts as he has recently, I'll take a chance on him, especially if it's going to get me Ricky plus even like maybe 2 9K guys at 6,200.
Oh yeah.
That's a
You can do
huge
a lot.
salary saver. Huge salary saver. So I'll definitely take a chance with some Trevor Werbelow.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you look at his name and you take that R out, and it's We Buy Low. So that's what we'll do. We'll take that 6,200 price tag. And I actually looked at him going all the way back to last year. I believe he debuted at the Canadian Open. And I don't think he made the cut, but he was right there. He missed it on the number. But he's one of those Chris Gotterup type guys that can hit it a ton and who's got some game. And you could tell the dude quietly makes cuts. And you know, if you watch golf broadcasts, it would catch your attention because I don't think I have never heard his name mentioned one time on a golf broadcast since he's been playing. So I like that. I definitely like that. We're going to close the show with some buy low options. Appreciate you coming on with me, Dave. I'm glad we worked it out. Hopefully, we can get a schedule down and maintain our run because we got
Definitely.
Masters next week. I'm going to put out a ton of content.
Yep.
I'm going to do a separate just preview show where we just talk about Augusta and stuff like that, and then maybe the next show will be a kind of a players preview. The cheat sheet's already out on Rick Run Good, so you know we're it's about 84 players. So, and you can toss out the bottom 15 or 20, which are the old chaps. And then there's a handful of like amateurs and invites that get along there too. So it's about 60 to 65 players that are really serious to make a cut that's 60 players. So 6 of 6s are way high, but we want to try to get you guys up in the big money. We want top fives and we want winners. So until the next show, appreciate you watching, and we will see you soon.